Well, also the interesting news coming from Chief Investment Officer of Merrill Lynch, who yesterday said that they're looking, or excuse me, it was not yesterday that he said this. This was a while back that he said this, that gold prices in the first quarter of 2009 might go to $1,500 an ounce. Now, that was a while back that he made that prediction, but do you think that that holds any water today?
Much more than it did then. First of it was Rosenberg, and he's the head of research for them, chief economist. And that was preceded by commentary by J.P. Morgan and Citigroup, both of thought the goal was going to 2,000.
We're going to be right back. We got to take this break. We've got a 4-minute break. We'll be back with our guest today, Bob Chapman, the international forecaster. Back in 4 minutes. Stay tuned.
Spread that wealth around, that's the reason we smile.
Yeah, right, fat chance. Welcome back to the Monday edition of the Power Hour. Coming up on 25 minutes past the hour, this is Dave.
And Joyce, thank you for joining us in the Power Hour today. We're talking to our guest, Bob Chapman. Now, if you have never gotten a copy of the International Forecaster newsletter, but you're hungering to know what he has to say or what's going to happen, because you'll get to read it first in this voluminous, I repeat, newsletter, then you can call 877-479-8178. Now, that's if you'd like to get a complimentary copy of the newsletter, 877-479-8178, or go to theinternationalforecaster.com. We are talking about the price of gold, or at least we were discussing that a few minutes ago, that it, as Merrill Lynch has predicted, and many other people have predicted, including Bob Chapman, that it's going to go to $1,500 an ounce this year. It may go in the first quarter, so says Merrill Lynch, to $1,000 an ounce. But the question of silver, what about all these people that are holding silver right now? Are they going to see some increase in their investment?
Well, as gold goes up, silver will go with it. And usually gold leads, but not necessarily so. As we've seen just as of late, over the last 8 months, silver has fallen dramatically. 55, 60% has come back since. And so the leverage in purchasing silver is very large. It at one time for centuries was a monetary metal, but hasn't been a monetary metal in the last 50 or 100 years, although it's still considered such in some countries. But silver looks very, very good here. It's certainly underpriced. The shorts on silver are two major banks, and what they've done is they sold derivative contracts over the counter to the long side, and they're shorting the silver on the COMEX. And because of that, the CFTC won't do anything about it. But as time goes on here, you're going to see more and more upward pressure on silver. So it looks very good. Gold went off about $1,850 this morning. It was weak going, and we discussed this in the last issue. We expected this morning. Tilcom was weak. The first fix in London was weak. It was off about $11 or $12. And then we came in here on the opening in COMEX, and they bopped it, took it down about 18.5. It's down around 16 right now. But silver is only off 20 cents. So this is just today. I think it's insignificant what's going on today because the United States government's always rigging the market on Monday. Not only the gold and silver market, but the Dow and other indexes all over the world.
They can't seem to figure out, like Dave says, their butt with both hands, but yet they can monitor and manipulate all these markets around the world. It just amazes me. But I want to move on to what you just mentioned during the break to me about the Depression. You think the Depression is going to be much worse than anybody has any mind to conceive. Help me understand why you say that.
Well, first of all, we came out a week ago and said the Depression has begun. Merrill did as well, which really surprised me. We called the recession 2 years ago. Nobody else did. and about a year ago, a few economists and analysts did, which was fine. They're just a little late. And I think that you only see in the media what the media wants you to see. And so you never hear about me because
right.
I've made all the right calls, and they don't want to know I exist.
Yeah, can you imagine if all of a sudden they started printing your information and the world thought that it was turning itself inside out or upside down? And where's this guy been, and why haven't we heard about him? And did he just come out of the, spring out of the box there? No, you've been around for a long time, but you had to go back into the box, essentially, for a little while because you were telling the truth.
That's right. Myself and the groundhogs is still underground. But anyway, you got to remember, and this is so important, especially if you're a professional out there, and that means you run a company or you're associated in finance in some way, that this is what you're seeing here just didn't happen through incompetence. It's been done deliberately.
I agree with you so much. It is by design, ladies and gentlemen. This is the agenda. We're going to be right back after the cue. Let's go back to Bob Chapman now and see if Bob Chapman disagrees, agrees, or whatever with what Ted Anderson just had to say. Bob?
Oh, yes, I agree. And we're going to
Wait a second. Let me just say something. Do you agree with everything Ted Anderson says?
Well, at least this morning. It's fresh in my mind, and so I 100% agree with him.
It's amazing.
I remember when gold was 470, and it had gone back down to it, and I said, you're never going to see this again. And I was right. Mm-hmm. And we're in an area right now where I don't think you're going to see prices ever again below 830. And, of course, we're just about 900. And when you have opportunities like this, you got to take advantage of them. If you've got a job and you're getting paid every week or 2 weeks, you got to set aside some of that money to buy some more coins, whether it's a few sovereigns or one numismatic coin or one gold eagle. You got to keep on doing it. And that's the way I've done it over the years. And I bought my first U.S. St. Gaudens, which is now rated as a MS-64. And I bought it in 1960 for $47.
Whoa. And what do you think?
So
and what is it worth
that'll
now?
just show you what's happened over the years.
Now, explain MS-64. A lot of people don't know those terms.
Well, I have a rating system, and the 61 is, I believe, where it starts, or maybe it's 60. Ted knows better than I. And the numbers go up to 70, MS-60, 61, and so on. And the 64s are really good quality, and of course the higher numbers they get into a further mint state, if you may. And I've always been a giant fan of numismatics because they have performed so well in bull markets, just incredibly well. I mean, the last time around, leading from 76 through 81, the price of gold went from approximately $200 an ounce to $850. And so that was a gain of 225%. The MS-64 type, they didn't have those at that time. The grading system didn't come in until 1980, and it began then. And so those type of coins went from $500 to $5,000.
Whoa.
So there was a big difference in performance. So I like, bullion-type coins, but in coins, my love is in the numismatics. And there's only so many of them. Mm-hmm. And when the market gets hot, people reach for everything.
I'll tell you what, let me open up some phone lines. I'm sure people want to talk to you, and Numismatic may be opening up a whole can of worms or a whole other issue, and if Ted Anderson is still there, maybe if we get any phone calls on numismatics, he can answer that also. Let me go to the phone lines, and let me ask you to call us if you have a question or comment, 800-259-9231, 800-259-9231, if it has to do with numismatics or the walkers in a bag. I'm learning the lingo here, or whatever it is, or what you think is going to happen in the future. We're going to talk about depression right now. You said that you think the depression is going to be a whole lot worse than anybody imagines. So get lined up on the phone lines, 800-259-9231. And remember, Ron Kleinfelter in this next hour to talk about survival, because he just had to do it for 8 days with no electricity. You may say, oh, big deal, no electricity. Oh, it's a big deal, I guarantee you. Let's go back to you, Bob, on the subject of depression. Why do you think it's going to be worse than we imagine?
Well, I put a figure of 5 times worse, and that's an estimate, a guesstimate.